Ken Golden, second.
Thank you, Jim. Thank all of you for being here today, and thanks for inviting us up here. Let me talk about the new media portion first, and then I'll explain to you who I am and why. The unique thing about what you do is it is a fairly new field in the lexicon of how old we are and where we've been. But my 92-year-old mother-in-law doesn't understand what you do. Brian's daughter does. And that's the challenge to you. And that's what the new media, I think, has got to do, is to reach out to all people. And particularly there's a group of population that simply doesn't know and doesn't understand and isn't informed about what you do. And that's the hardest part, and it's going to be the biggest challenge that you have. I worked in this new media up in Washington, D.C. a couple of years ago as a contractor. And there are so many fascinating things coming down the line for all of us. But the challenge is to get it to all of the people. I don't think we're going to have a problem with young people. I think they understand it. Throughout the high school and grade schools, they get it. But it's the older people that I think we need to bring in and make them understand that to sit down and touch a button on a computer is not going to break it. That's grandma's biggest problem. Now, who am I? I'm Kenny Golden. I'm a 31-year Navy veteran. I'm the former chairman of Virginia Beach, where we just went 10 for 10. And I had hair before we started the election. It went away in this last election, especially when you win one by 14 votes. So we're very fortunate. I've been involved with the Republican Party for the last 6 years, basically as the operations officer, the vice chairman when Chuck Smith was chairman, and then the chairman for the last 2 years, and I just resigned so I could join this fray. And I haven't filed yet because I didn't have any money. Well, I went down and found some money the other day. I robbed my poor parents' bank account, and we're going to start this campaign on their $20,000, and we'll see where it goes from there. But as a 31-year Navy veteran throughout the entire planet, I've lived both in Japan and England, went to Oxford for a year, had the privilege over there, and I've got some great stories about those wonderful terrorists that are roaming the streets of Oxford University. Lived in Japan for a year or 2 years where I commanded a ship over there and had the privilege of serving both here, California, Jacksonville, Newport, Rhode Island, Seattle, Washington, San Diego, California, all over the place. And it's been a real privilege. I've had 4 at-sea commands, 5,000 hours of flight time. I've handled million-dollar budgets, both as a ship captain, as a commander of a task force, and also in Washington, D.C. As a matter of fact, I've had $121 million stolen from me from a congressional staffer, so I know how that works. I know how it works. My family background, I'm a UVA grad, as you can see. This is also, if you don't recognize it, this is a Ferrum College badge that I just had the privilege of getting a couple of months ago. So I went to Ferrum, and my only real claim to fame is I was George Allen's roommate at UVA. So if you will contribute significantly to my campaign, I will tell you a lot of dirt on George. Now, he's promised me that he would help me in the campaign, but he can only help so much because he couldn't endorse. But I said, George, you know I know where the dirt is. He said, yeah, but you can't tell that story about... I said, it's okay, George. But it's been a privilege to serve this country for 31 years. It's been a privilege to be a native Virginian and live in this wonderful state and then come back to it after you go back and forth to the Pentagon or to San Diego and come back and watch the growth that's taking place. When I was a young kid and my uncle lived here on Dock Landing Road in Portsmouth, Virginia Beach Boulevard was a 2-lane road. And I remember going down to the beach as a child. I remember going to Buckrow Beach, to Belvedere Beach, to Potomac Beach, and all those places as a kid. I remember going to Chincoteague and watching the ponies. It's the best whipping I ever got because I wanted a pony, and he said, I told you once when you came over here you weren't going to get a pony, and you're not going to get a pony, and I insisted on getting one until he spanked me and put me back in the car. And I never got the pony. As a matter of fact, something happened, and I started thinking about girls and forgot all about the horses. But that happened somewhere along Ferrum. But this state and this place here in Hampton Roads and this country is in serious trouble. Is there anybody in this room that believes that we can sustain paying interest on debt at the tune of $500 million today. Anybody in this room believe we can sustain that? If you do, come and explain to me how, and I'll get out of the race because you're the smartest guy in the room or gal in the room and you need to be running. That's what's happening to this country. We can afford to give health care to all of our people if we let private industry take over. But we've got to do that. And if we do it the way the current president, and I think he's a nice young man, but if we do it the way the current Congress wants to do it, we are not going to be able to decrease the deficit. We are going to increase the deficit. And this country can't sustain that over $500 million a day. $500 million a day would have supplied the fuel for my ship that I commanded in Japan for about 3 or 4 decades. So we've got to do something to fix that. We've got a problem here in the local area. Ben talked about all the commands that are here. We have 185,000 active duty people here and their dependents. 1/5 of the military power of this country lies in Hampton Roads. Joint Forces Command trains all of the service members that go out into the fleet and go out into Afghanistan and go out into Iraq. And it's located right here. But during this administration, if the Obama administration stays in power for 8 years, we will launch 1 aircraft carrier, the Gerald R. Ford, and that's it. 9,000 workers work here in Newport News. Another 9,000 workers are employed making things for them. There's another probably 20,000 workers in the industrial capacity that we have at Newport News Shipyard, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, and on the quay wall at the 25 piers we have at the largest naval base in the world. We are going to be decimated. There's rumors that we are going down to 8 aircraft carriers in this country when we currently have 11. If we do that, that means, and they move 2 to Mayport, that'll leave 2 in Hampton Roads, when there used to be about 6 during the height of the Reagan administration. Think about those things and what they're going to do on the local level to us. And my friends, right now, there's nobody, neither of the 2 Democratic senators are fighting for us. And our representative here, Glenn, is a nice guy. I know him. But he can't carry the water. We need somebody up there that can carry the water every day, that understands where the money comes from, and help us get back on track. We have a lot of problems, but the biggest one is that $500 million a day. KennyGolden.com. Help me if you can, and thanks for being here. And those of you that help in the Republican Party, I want to thank you for the help I got for the last 6 years. It was a pleasure, and now I'm looking forward to run with the rest of these guys, and we'll see what happens. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any quick question for Kenny?